What's up, guys? I got a special video for you today. I got my good friend Floyd. Now, Floyd is the CEO and co-founder of InfoQ. If you don't know what InfoQ is, please go check that out. I'll leave a link below this video. However, in this video, we're gonna be talking about something very important, and that is UBI, Universal Basic Income. Now, I consider Floyd one of the most educated and well-versed individuals, at least that I know personally, that comes to this. So hopefully you'll learn a thing or two about UBI. So Floyd, why don't we start off with your general, idea of what is UBI to you?
Yeah, I apologize, I can't keep looking at the camera since I'm kind of driving all of the cars in autopilot.
Oh yeah, we got to specialize. I got to show you quickly a little tangent here. That's the Tesla.
No hands.
No hands. Self-driving. I love it.
So, a basic income is the idea that we could actually rejig the system, rejig societal expectations, rejig the role of government, so that we're actually creating effectively something like a dividend for everyday people, for everyone. So a dividend is one way of thinking about it. Another way is thinking about it as a basic income, an income you get regardless of work. A dividend is a kind of a next level way of thinking about it. You know, we allow for private inheritance. What about social inheritance? There's a lot of society has gained a lot of advantage from past generations, from the contributions of people now long dead, and a lot of that money is not going to help everyday people. But one of the main reasons why this is becoming more and more important is that we're entering potentially a jobless future. There's two trends. The reason why basic income, and let me give a quicker introduction, is the idea that everyone gets enough for basic food, shelter, and rent. Maybe it would be about $1,500 a month, because if you room with other people, you could pool that money, and it would take away that existential fear that most people in the world live with, that wealthy people don't live with, that I don't live with, Ameer doesn't live with. You know, and $1,500 a month might be just enough to flip a switch that people don't worry about starving the next day or how they're going to feed their kids. So if you take away that existential fear from people, I just think it's going to be a much, much better society where people can actually have the power to say no to a shitty boss, say no to an abusive marriage, say yes to making long-term decisions for things they really want to do with their future, find their true gifts and talents in life. And, you know, because that's what the rich have. But what we really have that's really wealthy, really valuable, is not wealth. It's actually long-term perspective. It's the ability to say, make a long-term decision, not worry about how you're going to get there, not worry about, like, if you're going to starve. And that's the real value. It's hope, it's absence of fear. And we're seeing what impact fear is having on the economy and on the political system. So the reason why, and I'm going off, I hope that's okay.
Yeah, man, go for it. The
reason why this is becoming more prime time now in terms of awareness is unfortunately more fear. People are afraid that automation is going to take away all the jobs, and there's a lot of credible studies saying that within 20 years we're going to lose potentially half of all jobs, and these are from like credible institutions, including, you know, even like McKinsey & Company, management consultants.
So what are they saying? I think they said in the next like 5 years or so, based on self-driving cars, which we're in one right now, it's kind of there's like 1.2 million jobs will disappear.
Like potentially 47% of all jobs in the US could disappear within 20 years. Similar projections have been made for Canada, for the UK, for other countries, and even sadly, there's projecting 50 to 80% of jobs lost in the emerging economies, because that's where, just when those companies started to industrialize, started to take on manufacturing, those are the easiest to automate jobs. What's going to happen if like 70% of people are out of jobs in, like, you know, in India or in China when there's just started to industrialize? It's going to be crazy. So basic income is seen as a solution. Well, if we're entering a jobless future, then this whole notion that you're a worthy person only if you work is going to go away, because there's not enough jobs. So we either find a way that we have a basic income so that everyone can survive and still thrive, and take on, for example, part-time jobs, gig economy jobs, Upwork type jobs, allow for that, or allow for a future where, you know, you have, you know, rich people living in space stations and everyone else living in shanty towns. You know, because like we have the Star Trek view of the future, or we have the mercantile dystopian view of the future, like in the movie Aliens, where the corporations are sending people to other planets and stuff, and you know, it's just, there's two views, right? And automation could bring that. But I actually think that really important is that even if automation was never even a thing, if it was never even a factor, we're already on a very scary trend with inequality in general. You know, since the early 80s, all the trend lines are going in a direction where now like half of all Americans can't find $400 in case of an emergency. The top 0.1% own as much as the bottom 90, and that wasn't the case 20 years ago, right? So guess what? All that money being hoarded is money that's not being circulated in the economy. That's buying power that's not there to help small business and medium-sized business and even large business. So what's going to happen when the consumers just go away? And if anything, automation will just accelerate that, because you're going to have few people owning all the robots and everything, and owning all the websites. And what's that going to mean for the ability for everyday people to actually buy shit?
So what are some decent proposals for UBI at the moment?
So right now we're in an earlier stage where there's a few experiments that have already been done. One was in the 70s in a town in Canada, a small town in Alberta, where for 5 years, the whole village, the whole town, like 5,000 people got a basic income, and they showed good results. They showed an 8% decrease in hospital visits. They showed very minuscule less work. Teenagers stayed in school longer, mothers stayed on mat leave longer, but you know, this whole fear of people not working wasn't there. There's been tests done in India that have shown that it's had amazing emancipatory effects on villages. A lot of people turn to entrepreneurship. Also in Kenya, a really important study there by Give Directly. There have been a few studies in the 70s in the US too, but they were quite small and they were statistically insignificant. And but basic income almost passed. For example, Richard Nixon almost passed the House in the 70s, which is kind of interesting, by Republicans. And but in terms of how to do it, so that. Right now, we need more research in that regard, but there is actually have already been economists that have shown that, for example, in Canada, you could have a variation of basic income in a revenue-neutral manner. Just eliminate a bunch of tax loopholes, eliminate a lot of different welfare programs. Right now in the U.S., $1 trillion a year is spent on 126 welfare programs. So you replace welfare with basic income, you reduce the size of government, you become a partner to people instead of a paternalistic, just trust people to take care of themselves. So it's been shown that it could be done in a revenue-neutral way in Canada. There's another study by an economist that showed that you could do it in the U.S. For only $500 additional income revenue that would need to be gotten from other sources. And these are just early stage, right? So there's a lot of different approaches to taxation or elimination of loopholes, or creating sovereign wealth funds based on pooling, the results of like things we all commonly own. For example, like Republicans have proposed that we make a carbon tax. You know, if you put pollution in the air, well, who owns the air? So you could split that money across, give $2,000 a check for $2,000 to every family every year from just carbon tax alone. In Alaska, they've had this thing called the Permanent Dividend Fund, where every Alaskan gets over $1,000 a year just from oil revenues, right? Like, you know, oil companies didn't put it in the ground, they just took it out. So why wouldn't we share more of that? So there's a lot of new thinking about how you can approach recirculation of wealth. It's not just income tax. It could probably be even done without raising income taxes. There's a lot of different approaches, and we really just need to get the political will to actually start looking into this.
What would you say are some good resources to start diving into this?
I would say, if you want the best comprehensive look, just look up Guy Standing. Any videos by Guy Standing, and he's got a recent book, Basic Income, How We Can Get There. It's probably the most educated. He's an economist and was also a professor in the University of London, and was in the UN Labor Organization or whatever for many years. So he puts out the most comprehensive stuff. But just also look on Medium, the Basic Income channel. You'll find a lot of great stuff there.
Cool. Awesome.
So, you know, I want to live in a world where I know that there's a floor. You know, I know that everyone's okay. Not food stamps okay. Not like
thriving okay.
Not work to die okay, but like not worried about existing okay. You know, just knowing that you're gonna be okay, and you can start a business, you can take risks, you can do stuff like that because you know that you're not gonna starve. That's the world I want to live in. That's the world we can create.
I love it. Well, we'll leave it at that. All right, guys, if you want more information for Floyd, I said there's a link below the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.
Thank you.